Hey, good morning. We haven't been on since Thursday. It's been a while. And okay, here goes Bubbles. Hey, Bubbles, you coming up here? Come on. Here she is. Want to say hi, Bubs? There, Bubs. She's like, oh, it's bright light. Hey, I hope you're all doing well today. It is Monday. Sorry I didn't do a Friday show. I decided I wanted to do something fun. I was trying to build my train set. My goal is to do a live broadcast on Friday with the train set up and running. We'll see. It's a lot of work. A lot more work than I thought building this whole thing. So that'll be Friday. So it'll hopefully be a special show. And you can see where I was going with it and why it's cat's all full of fur and why it's there. Anyway, today's Metric Monday. I want to talk about measuring the use of the product we produce in the sprint. It's not your typical metric that most of these Scrum people and coaches and agile accountants talk about. So I'm going to bring this up, and it's amazing how many teams don't know how their product's being used or how often or where and when. And I want to talk about that a little bit today. So it'll be a simple show. This is the Mester Scrum Show. I am Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach, and here we talk about Scrum and Agile in a very practical and tactical way so we can bring more value to our customer, not work so hard for that value, and have a little fun along the way. And speaking of fun, I had to put an episode of Bubbles in her Tales of Bubbles, the Calico Cat Adventures with ChatGPT. I'll put something out tonight, maybe. I got some pictures of her being goofy. So I use those pictures of her being goofy as basis. Just trying to see how ChatGPT works. Now, we're only going to do 20 episodes of the season, and then we're going to do something different. So we're going to try to break it up a little bit. So you only got 7 more episodes of Bubbles coming out, and we'll get work on that too. I also should put a newsletter out tonight. I think one of the two will go out because they're both podcasts. Don't want to overdo it because the algorithm blows up. Anyway, so let's talk about today, Metric Monday. You'd be amazed at how many teams that I've worked with over the years don't know how the product they produce every sprint is being used, or how often, what frequency, when, and where. And they just produce a product that the customer wants to ask them to do, and they produce it and they send it to them. But then they don't have any idea, well, is my customer actually using my product? Is it in place? And they just make all these assumptions that everything's ready to go and running well. And then they get hit with all these questions. It's like, well, because you never knew that they didn't start your product yet for another month after you installed it or put it together. And that's why you have no customer service issues, let's say, because they haven't really used it yet. And they all assume, as we put it out, the customer is going to use it. And that's not necessarily true. So what I always encourage teams to do, and this is an idea that you can bring up, they might balk at this because they might say, well, this is the business's job. It's not my job. I'm going to make a difference here. Every team needs to market what they do. They need to understand their market. Now, their market may not be the entire world, but their market may be the financial department, maybe the accounting department, maybe the sales department, maybe the marketing, the different departments within your company, right, that use your product. And when you build that capability, and when because the reason why they balk, so I bring this up a lot. And the people that run these applications, that they write the software, I go, well, how do you know if they're using it? Well, we that's not our business, but they know they can. There is no reason on this planet Earth, seriously, if they're any good at coding, to not know how frequently their product's being used, how to measure it. They can do tags, they can do logs, and they can take those logs and turn them into metrics to see, is the product being used a lot or is it coming down? And why do I say this is important? Because think about what I just said. If you release a product and it's not being used yet, but you're planning for people to ask you questions, so you're putting some capacity into the system to support that, but they're not really using it. You have lost capacity and mess up your thing. Let's say there's a big spike and you go, oh my God, there's a big spike in use. We better be prepared for stuff. We didn't expect this much usage out of this product. You might have to make your product a little more robust. And you might come up with stories based on the usage rates that, oh, we only thought it was going to be used like 5,000 times, but it actually was used 100,000 times. I don't think we broke the code to be used 100,000 times. We just figured it was going to be spot used by somebody. Maybe it's growing wings. So these are the things that these metrics can help your team do. And let's say someone, oh, this team just released some Adobe package or something for some capability. You can use that number and say, they weren't using this, but now they use it 5,000 times, right? And it saved them, let's say, a couple seconds off their time or made it easier. Then you can start doing calculations to write some little marketing on, hey, the first month we got this team, they used this little app we wrote for them, 5,000 times. 5,000 times 1 minute is 5,000 minutes. 5,000 minutes divided by 60 seconds is what? Or 5 by 60 minutes per hour gives you that number, right? So you get like it's a whole week's worth of savings of time to go do other things, maybe more high priority, valuable stuff and things like that. So this is where I think you should always encourage every team when they write a story. Now, this could be at the story level, could be at the feature level. Depends where you want to go. But if you're looking at value and what's end for the story level, you should have a subtask in there that says, create a metrics to measure the use and frequency of the product we just made. Everyone wants to talk about the product, but I really think from a team perspective, you want to track how frequent your product's being used. Because trust me, they probably won't get back to you on how. They probably don't even know how to measure how frequently. They might know website clicks or something like that or some marketing thing. But you can tell from the back end code how frequently even a loop is run, right? It's in the code. You can pull that out. You can track that. Doesn't have to be specific people, but the frequency and the numbers. So I really encourage that everyone who writes a story, there should be a question when you're doing your sprint planning or your refinement. Is this something we should metric or measure, right? Or should we measure it at the feature level? But maybe and then if you do it at the feature level, maybe you write a whole complete story that creates metrics for that feature based on usage that you can track and run and use in the future. Of course, your customer's going to want it, by the way. They'd love to know, hey, I had you make this and you have data to show how well that is. It will help the customer sell what they do and make them look good for their managers and customers too. So in the long run, you make your product, but you should also build a metric to measure how often it's used that you and the dev team level can see, not just the marketing people and the website count and all that. You as a team should know how frequently and how much your product's being used. It's good to know because it'll help shape your questions in the future. So with that, that's our Marketing Monday metric for the day. Add a metric to your story or feature that you can track how often and frequency and how much your product that you produced every sprint's being used. It really shouldn't be that hard. And once you establish maybe a story in the quarter to say, here's how we want to put all this stuff. Once you establish that framework for that data to be collected and displayed, it's every story. It's easy. Set that base, you can do it. You know how the process works. Anybody on the team should be able to do that and add that to their story to see if it has value. So with that, I'm going to say, have a great day. Have some fun. Trying to get stuff done off my priority list. One of my priority lists is one day I wanted to get that train track done because I'll tell you right now, I'll take a picture of pre and you can't knock on me how messy my basement is right now. It's terrible. it's like the hoarding thing. I'm getting out of this hoarding thing. I'm going to get that project done because as I saw the project going, so much stuff would clean up. Once I make room, things can get put away underneath there. Trains have a place to do. They're not taking up all the shelves. And because I got a lot of train kits I bought over the time and just have places for all this stuff to go. So I'm hoping that works out well. It's my plan, and we'll see. Anyway, hope you have a great day. Happy Monday. Happy Scrumming, and we will see you tomorrow. Maybe hear some podcasts either from Bubbles or from our. Probably want to do maybe this at lunchtime. I'll set up a podcast with the summary of all last week's shows because it is Monday. It was a weekend. It's the summer. Everyone's doing stuff. So probably I'll do stuff. Wish I was actually doing stuff that had nothing to do with my priorities. Anyway, take care, everyone. Have a great day. See you later. Bye. See ya.